What is up, everybody? I'm your legendary commander, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3. So guys, I have a confession to make. I have been stringing you all along, making you watch hours and hours of gameplay, just because I want your view time. Because clearly, playing Baldur's Gate 3 only takes about 45 minutes. In this video, we're going to literally go ahead and cover all the way to the end of the game in 45 minutes. I avoided every companion. Unfortunately, Lizelle was forced to be with me at this first bit, so I did end up using her, but after that I used absolutely no companions. Used only one healing potion to heal her, one inspiration point, and not a single spell through the entire game. Literally no one had anything cast on them or hit by anything. I did use the throw action a few times to do certain little things, but nothing that would actually warrant violence. Completely pacifist, beat the game in 45 minutes. Also keep in mind, this game is in early access and the game isn't complete, so this is not like an entire run of the entire game, this is only an entire run of the early access content. Doing this avoided a lot of content, and I mean a lot. So if you were expecting to be able to read the dialogue in this video, don't count on that, because I'm just clicking through it because I'm trying to do this relatively quickly, and the dialogue would probably double the length of this video. The main goal here is just to dash past him. I tried to sneak past, and maybe I could have slipped by, but I blew my chance here, so if you don't manage to slip by in the beginning, you're going to want to dash to escape. Like I said, though, I blew my chance, so we're going to be stuck into a fight that what I'm going to do is just run away from it. Now, there was also a bit of contemplation whether or not I could use these little healing stations and stuff, and I chose no. And that is the reason why I used the one potion, and I really didn't even need to use that. But while it is magical, it's really not a spell, and again, it was used on Lizelle, who, well, wasn't going to be doing much anyway, and through this whole thing, only got hit like once or twice. So it wasn't really a big deal.
At the ready.
It's not like it actually served me any purpose. These healing stations were another concern, but I decided it wasn't worth it either. Just don't even use anything that would have a magical property. And like I said, the only healing spell I used, I didn't even use Second Wind. The only healing spell was just a potion of healing on Lizelle, so it wasn't even a spell.
Blood comes easy these days. What path lies before me?
And this really is just a lot of running, pretty much the whole way, and unfortunately Lizelle apparently can't path around fire, she thinks she's immune to it, but is just to sprint the whole way and let them engage. Like I said, I used Lizelle to kind of use her as fodder, but for the most part, using Lizelle's fodder was all I did, and Lizelle never made any other actions other than being fodder and dashing.
No time to waste.
Still on my feet. With haste. Swift as my feet can carry me.
Blacketh Kasivim Crashhead.
And there you can see there was that potion. Didn't really need it, but what's done is done. You can't really undo that.
Taking position.
Well, so much for peace. Breathe deep and move. Can't slow down.
Time to strike.
A neat little trick coming up here is to use your jump action to actually get more distance out of Lizelle and strong characters. If your character has the capability of jumping far distances, you should totally use it before running. What this ends up doing is you use a third of your movement to jump that distance, but you've gone more than a third of your distance in that jump. Weaker characters like wizards are going to be pretty much about normal. They're going to be in the same place they would be if they didn't do the jump. So someone like my main character, no point to having him jump, but Lizelle would be a good reason to jump to outrun a character, so that way she's not constantly getting the opportunity to be attacked.
On the move. Vlaakith, guide me.
Still breathing, despite everything. These boots have seen everything.
Time to strike.
The fights were really the longest delay in this entire game. The tutorial level itself, trying to force you into fights, that's kind of what made it take so long. Without that, this game was actually going pretty quick.
On the move.
Survival is all that matters. On my way.
And another thing you might actually say is that I'm not being completely pacifist, because I just stabbed the door, and the door is technically part of this living nautiloid. Well, that's totally true, and if that's your argument, my character didn't know that as far as I'm concerned. We're not metagaming here, guys. So, he thinks he's pacifist.
My path be true.
So don't you tell me I did something that was not pacifist, because I'm going to say no, I didn't. The nautiloid's not a living thing, it's a ship.
Moving in. All right. What now? Very well.
And I'm doing my best to avoid things like the healing thing, of course, as well as Shadowheart. I don't want to grab anybody. That's my main goal, is to avoid everyone. And so I just completely left Shadowheart in the tube, knowing I could have rescued her. But she's not important in this run, and none of them are really important in this run. In fact, not helping or meeting any of them won't result in you having any problems throughout this entire game, as the game is getting adaptive for when you do things like that, as you'll see later. Once again, it's just a bunch more running. Dash past the enemy, use Lizelle to take the opportunity to attack, and just keep on going. Hope they don't kill you. This really is a roll of the dice, so if you were worried about are you going to be able to make it, well, that's a question of whether or not
To press ahead.
the dice are going to be in your favor. Are they going to hit, or are they going to miss? How much AC do you have? That's really what's going to determine whether or not you could make a run like this if you wanted to. Again, if you're trying to be pacifist, use your jump ability to get away as far as you can. Most of the time they're going to miss Lizelle anyway, and if they do, it's not going to be that big of a deal, as well you should have a decent amount of health. But you jump away, and then run, and they'll never catch you afterwards, because these guys have about 30 feet of movement. If they dash, they have 60, and you're going to clear more than 60 feet of movement. And once again, when they show up, just dash past them or jump past them. Everything you do is just to get past the enemy. This is also one of those areas, if somebody does go down, provided somebody can still touch the control panel, everyone will be alive when the ship crashes, because, well, they get reset.
Flacket, guide me.
So we're going to manage to touch the control panel now and get that going, which is going to end this whole thing. We're going to get a bit of a jump cut here because, well, the screen goes black for about 30 seconds to a minute, and why should we stare at a 30-second black screen? Right away, we're going to get up and just start running, and actually we're going to go stealth at a certain point and just head towards the intellect of ours because we're not looking to grab Shadowheart or anyone, we're just trying to get on our way. So that means taking the first left up here. This is probably the hardest part to navigate without getting into a fight because you have to slip by these guys and then slip by another one, which I got lucky. One of them glitched out, and so I was able to slip by without having to worry about him turning his head at all. We could have probably dashed past him otherwise and just kept outrunning him, but that wasn't necessarily an opportunity here, and I wasn't about to restart just to do that. I was trying to decide the best way to get around all this too. I didn't want to step into this and cause combat. So it was a bit of a question right here where I was like, do I go this way? Should I go this way? Can I jump over here and then clear? And then so here it is. I actually make that jump. Finally finding my way across. And this is where the intellect devour moves, gets glitched out. And so what we end up doing is sneaking up right behind the intellect devour and jumping off over the side and getting right to them. I didn't want to go around to the left because I would have gotten a story on, so I wanted to go up through the center here because I'm trying to avoid any dialogue sequences with anyone. I want no partners. I just want to get on my way and go. Now, after trying to figure out whether or not he's actually stuck or he's going to turn here shortly, I decided, yep, he's stuck. I'm going to go ahead and go right behind him. You may not get this lucky with him being stuck, but there should be some areas or ways you should be able to get around. If you can't, just go ahead and just dash past him. That's the best opportunity. Get as close as you can with stealth once you're in the view range. Step into it and dash, or actually just dash past it.
Have to keep going.
If Baldur's Gate should really fix one thing, it's that enemies are kind of oblivious if you walk around them. I think an enemy should be completely aware of any enemy that walks around them in general. That's why this is so possible.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
If you walk within 5 feet, there should be a stealth check at least by noise. And oh, we almost went the wrong way there. Again, another fight that we could have been forced into, or at the very least, just something that consumes time. Didn't want to mess with it, so we go back up the other way. We want to stay right on this road because we're trying to avoid Gale right through here, so I come up to the right. And this is the only route right now, otherwise it loops back in on where they're trying to dig out someone. That someone being a mind flayer, of course. And again, this place is a little mazy, so I went another wrong direction. So once I got my bearings straight on through here, make a left, don't go to the right, because that's going to lead you to Lizelle. So you're making your left here, and then just heading up, and what you're going to be trying to do is get to the Druid Grove. You're not going to talk to anybody there, you're going to stealth up on top of the hill, sneak up.
I hear shouting up ahead. On my way. Light on my feet.
And as long as you're stealth, you won't be dragged into this fight, which means you'll be free to move, and this fight will be going on while you're gone.
Open the bloody gate! Nobody gets in! Go! Shit!
Now we're just going to go ahead and sneak down. We need to be careful being in stealth. As you can see, everything is going on without us. There's going to be no turns holding the entire battle up. It's just going to play out. So while this battle is playing out, we just want to slip by. But we got to be careful that nobody looks in our direction. That's why you got to make sure you get out of there and get as far away as you can, and then slip by when nobody's looking. Otherwise, you will be dragged into this fight, and you'll be forced to either retreat and just run as fast as you can, or forced to fight and wait this out, which could take a lot longer than you probably want to.
Can't slow down.
And this is me going back, checking to see if it's actually still playing now that I'm away, just because I was curious. And you can hear the horn go off.
Another step forward. Dead goblins. Dead travelers. Should mind my step.
Now, being a drow, I didn't really think about it, but it would have actually been easier to just walk straight through the city instead of trying to sneak around. This would have gone a lot easier being as a drow because, well, they just leave you alone. It wasn't planned that way, however, it will make it easier. I did this because when I play warlocks, I tend to play a drow at the same time.
What path lies before me?
So really, this sneaking through the city right now is absolutely completely pointless, and you should just walk to the center of the city if you're playing a drow. Otherwise, follow this route because they removed the goblins that are in this area during Update 5, which means you can sneak
Time to
through here.
press ahead. Don't waste a step.
This right here could wind up being your defining moment of truth because if you can catch him while he's looking down into the well, you might be able to sneak right by. That, or as long as he's just looking the other way, but as you can see, even I almost got caught trying to slip by because I took a little too long. Now, for the most part, it hasn't been that bad up to this point.
These monks have seen everything.
Sneaking at this moment isn't necessary either, because what you're going to do is take this alternate route down where you see these vines. You may get caught like I did.
Thicko! This here's off limits. Get to the main gate, or I'll plug you full of arrows.
But this is about the only time he really pays attention. After that, he takes his eyes off you. And
On my way.
this is where you're going to take a little bit of damage, because you're going to jump off. You're going to take at least 2 points to 3 points of damage from this fall. And then you're going to jump across to this other ledge. And this is going to get you in. Now that may have got me in,
On my
but
way.
here's where the game is about to correct you and try to throw Shadowheart back at you again. Don't get me wrong, I like Shadowheart, but didn't really need her, and unfortunately this is the only part you need her for. So, for her sake, she got left here and I continued on my way without her.
Hear
But I decided to
my
watch this just to see how this plays out.
Obey my command. The voice is irresistible. Every word is drenched with a power and authority that you do not understand, but cannot deny. Your vision clouds, leaving you in a dark, featureless shadowscape. Nothingness in every direction. Then there are 3 figures before you. An armored male elf, exuding power and command. A handsome younger man with a quick, easy smile. And a pale young woman with even paler eyes.
These are my chosen. They speak for me. Aid their search for the weapon. Illumination will be your reward.
You feel energy pulsing from the artifact, lifting the pain from you, pushing the voice away.
My power grows. My forces gather. The reckoning draws near.
I imagine you must have questions. We should talk. You're lucky I managed to catch up with you when I did. We're both lucky, in fact. That doesn't matter. What matters is how it can help us against the monsters in our heads. I don't know how, but this artifact is protecting me from whoever controls our parasites. You won't get much farther without it shielding you. Trust me. You need me at your side. There's no chances without me. Only certain death, or worse. I'll wait here until you come to your senses. For both our sakes, I hope that happens very soon.
And it looks like for her, she's going to be waiting here for a while because, like I said, I did beat this game without having any help. That's about the only help I got from a companion, and that was because the game kind of thrust it upon you, but never took any help. And again, being a drow really helps in here because everybody's relatively nice to you, and you can use your drowness to bypass everything. So no spells, and you can be a pacifist this way. And a lot less actual persuasion checks going on as well. Now, if you wanted, you could probably go right up top and try that route instead, risk waking out the bugbears. I didn't want to do that, so what I did instead was come through here.
If not over.
I figured I could persuade my way through, not realizing I can just use my drow ability to walk right on by.
We're doing the Absolute's work. State your business. Now.
A strange symbol glows, marked on their flesh, and something within you stirs in response.
I'm also refusing to use the Illithid Wisdom, so again, using the drow ability and not an actual magical ability of any kind. That was the main goal here, is to use no spells, nothing like that, and just run through it.
You one of those Moonrise types, then? Your kind usually don't deal with Boss Ragslin and Priestess Gut. Guessing you're after Minfara. Could be her blood by the looks of you. Audience is right. She's an uppity one and no mistake, but she knows her business. She's in telling the war chiefs what's...
Now our next goal is, once we get past this door, to go talk to Priestess Gut and get her locked in her own room. We're not going to have to kill her or anything, but we need to pick her pocket, because once we pick her pocket, we can get her key and then get into her chamber to get down to the Underdark. You could try to do lot picks, but I hadn't picked up any lot picks, so have to have the conversation, move her over there to pick her pocket to get the key to go through the door. Otherwise, you might be able to bypass it another way. Now, when I originally planned on doing all this, I planned to actually use just one spell, and that was to turn myself invisible and clear this whole map. However, trying to use one spell that I needed being invisibility required me to get to level 2, so I was trying to gain XP where I could as well. That said, I ended up not needing it and getting through the whole game without using a single spell.
Hold out your arm so I can mark your flesh. Maybe you don't need it. After all, you're special, ain't you? Like...
She probes your darkness. The vision dissolves away. You stand before the goblin priestess, her faith.
Works, Bo. Maybe I can help with that. Us true souls gotta look out for one another. You've come to the right... With the absolute... Let's deal with this in my chapel. It's private. Don't want this lot interfere.
And that's what we wanted right there. We wanted to go ahead and get her to go in there, and now that she has gone in there, we can go ahead, and this is where I tried to level up as well, but we can go ahead and do our thing. I'm going to skip past this for us, save us a little time.
Time to press ahead. One day I'll catch a break. On my way. Swift as my feet can carry me.
Now, unfortunately, right here is where it could all get messed up. Because I don't have a spell like invisibility where I could just walk up and maybe just perform the action without her knowing, she could easily start a fight with me. And I just happened to get lucky, taking the key. The DC wasn't too high, took the key, and I slipped away. Then we're just going to go ahead and sneak over the door. Make sure you are crouched when you do this, that we can actually get to the door. And the next part is getting past this big gal over here, which apparently she didn't see me on top of this thing. However, when I dropped down, apparently I made noise, and that got her attention.
Can't risk being in open view.
Now, I might have been able to attack and then just run, but I didn't want to take any chances here. So I ended up just getting reset and then sneaking on right behind her because she turned her back, and that's all I really needed. I did get lucky here too. She turned around at the last second before I stepped through this door.
And move.
Made me come out of stealth, but was not enough to actually catch me or cause me issue. Decided I'd drop a save right here just in case the game glitches out or crashes,
Have to keep going.
and or in case I die. Thankfully, none of that happened during this run. And again, we hit an unfortunate, I don't have any lot pick, so I can't just solve this puzzle by a lot pick, because I do know how to solve this puzzle, but the faster way would have been to just use the lot pick, so I was forced to solve this puzzle. If you don't know how to solve this puzzle, it's pretty easy. Just get all the circles aligned, black in the light, and then white moons on the other side. Everything else doesn't matter, so we're actually going to speed through this part. And now with the puzzle done, we can enter the Underdark. The rest of this is actually going to be relatively easy. Sneaking around, the only things we really have to worry about is blowing ourselves up, avoiding the fight with the Minotaurs, and picking just the right path the whole way down. That way we don't get killed by the big lizard thing under the ground that I can't pronounce the name of.
Light on my feet.
But first, we actually need to deal with this temple
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
and its fireball launching thing of death. This is probably the only real problem that can really murder us. I don't know how this would respond if you casted invisibility, but what you can do to get rid of this, if you're trying to avoid spells, and apparently you can't click off once you decide to stab a barrel, so just don't click to stab barrels because you'll just wind up doing it. But just find something, anything, a hammer, a piece of rope, just find something. I ended up using
Something
a
good
hammer.
here, I hope. Have to keep
And then you're
going.
going to throw that at that glowing little crystal on top. When you throw this at the glowing crystal, it will cause the entire thing to shut down. You can pull the lever and you can leave this room. It's that easy.
If not over, then through. Light on my feet.
Hells. I wouldn't want to get hit by that.
All right, time to skulk about. Light on my feet.
Now I got real lucky because the Minotaur could have been lower down and I may have gotten spotted, but I managed to have it timed out right, and maybe that's just also only when you get into range. Couldn't say for certain, but I got lucky here that the Minotaur did not spot me as I made this corner. Probably should have gone around to the left, jumped off the side if I was trying to sneak on through without getting spotted. This is the correct path up here that you're going to want to take. The Minotaur actually doesn't walk far enough up to visualize that area, so you don't have to worry there.
Your mind.
So long as you're actually stealthy.
What path lies before me?
The reason why you need to pick the right path is because of this guy right here, because there's a certain spot he'll break out, and at this level he'll probably kill me when he breaks out. If I don't get injured, I'll likely die on the next turn when he actually physically jumps and attacks someone, which would be me, being I'm the only one here. You can see the course we're looking to take right now. That is the safest path down to where you're trying to go.
These boots have seen everything. Don't waste a step. Breathe deep and move.
Broken bones. Must have fallen. Timusks, known to cause confusion. Best not to get too close.
On my way. Time to press ahead. Have to keep going. Never wanted the
Now we come to the worst part right here. These exploding spore things, whatever they are. These bulbous things, when they blow up, are going to explode and hurt you. But if you touch the other thing trying to navigate around them, you're going to wind up confused and likely die in here as multiples are going to hit. So I tried to throw the rope at it, trying to trigger it to explode. Apparently the rope is too soft, or you can't damage them by throwing stuff. So I only had one real option, as I didn't really have much else to use. And that was to actually walk up to one and trigger it to explode. By triggering one to explode, it will detonate the rest that are actually going to be in the way, and you hopefully won't take too much damage. You can see I went ahead and saved here.
That's a friendly looking shadow.
You can also see I actually did hit the confused thing as well, because I did have to make a save. I was trying to trigger it without actually either getting blown off the side
Footwork.
or running into those, but I again got lucky and didn't happen to take too much damage, and at the same time actually passed my save. Even to this point, I was trying to gain another level, so I ended up going to talk to these guys because I was hoping to get to level 3 where I
We're
could cast
swallowed by a
invisibility.
chorus of
If I could do
turbulent
that, the game would
music.
be absolute smooth
Through
sailing
one
afterwards.
The
But I
quiet,
didn't have it,
you see a vision.
and there was no XP to be gained up here. So here's a bit of a wasted trip, and we're going to end up circling back down to the left and not do anything up here. So once again, I'm going to speed through this part as this is completely unimportant. And also where I ended up using my inspiration die. Which technically I still should have passed, but because I rolled a 1, it was a critical fail and not just a standard
Then
fail,
the
so you can't fix it.
The Pacific.
Now, to avoid accidental death, now that we're past that other stuff, make sure to keep right, at least through this little bit in the front, because those exploding spore things have a very good reach, and we don't want to get too close to where they're going to explode on us, so stay right. You can check for some loot. I ended up stealing a bow off somebody, hoping to use it if I needed to throw to create a distraction, but it ended up not being needed, so that was great.
Never wanted the easy path. What path lies before me? looks abandoned.
Now I went the wrong way here because I should have probably gone left, but instead I went right, and this ended up putting me almost directly in front of at least one of the Durgar or Dwarf person, whichever he actually is, and I failed my either perception check or my stealth check, but it didn't actually clear and get onto me. I'm assuming it's my perception check, and then I managed to slip away here and thankfully be out of range to where my stealth check, I'm assuming, didn't actually count because I slipped in and out too quick for it to actually finish the check. Could have avoided all that by going to the left. You're going to come down pretty much the exact same spot, slip down the side here, and stealth all the way. This might be a moment where if you have a high strength, being able to make a jump would be helpful, so you don't have to have this dialogue sequence I had. But that wasn't an option for me as I used my charisma for the most part just so I could talk my way out of problems, and my dexterity for the most stealth I could get in case I needed it.
Best be on my way.
I also had an Eldritch Invocation and a Persuasion. This would help me along anytime I had a conversation, and technically not a spell, but a spell-like ability, or you could argue a spell. And if you want to argue that was a spell, I mean, then your whole point of watching this whole video is pointless because apparently didn't do it without a spell then. This is where I'd try to jump across if I was a fighter or some other character with a high strength. Try to jump across from over here, get onto the bridge, be snuck past at this point, and then get onto the boat. Unfortunately, right here, these guys are completely invisible, so you can't even see them, so you can't even see where their cones are. But I do know there's one on that bridge over here, and he can see you when you walk up to the bridge. And this is what forces you into that dialogue sequence.
Out of mind. Was expecting one of you drow to join the hunt. Praise the Absolute. Did something to upset Disciples' realm.
As the symbol glows, power courses through you. Authority.
No harm in checking. Especially if you don't have a brand. Ought to see to that. All due respect. Anyway, the hunt's not over yet.
So at this point, I probably could have just gone and done my thing, but I was trying to, as much as I could, appease my would-be possible murderers. So I figured I'd agree to it as much as possible, look around in a sense, and then hop the boat, which is pretty much what I managed to do here.
Past those rat flowers. They get in your head, make you see things. Half my squad jumped off a cliff, laughing. Good. I'll keep watch here. That's a friendly-looking shadow. Can't slow down. Should mind my step.
And this is where being able to sneak is a little, dumb because I was able to sneak right past him, even though he knew I was there, and hop aboard the boat.
A vessel wobbles.
And this
on the
gets you pretty much
lake's
to the
murky
end. The only
waters.
one thing left standing in your way is the last conversation, and you just gotta hope you pick the right conversation choice with the lowest DC, and hope you roll well. If you have any inspiration points you didn't have to spend, they're gonna be coming useful here, as well as if you are gonna cast a spell, if you're gonna do one spell, a charm or friend spell would be very, very useful here. Now my game actually glitched here. I don't think it knew what was also going on either. And so I stood here for a while just trying to figure out what's going on. And then finally I said I'll click on it and talk to him rather than try to do something and slip away and get away with this without having to do that. Because this is what's going to force the game to continue on. So we're right at the end. We don't want to mess it up. Conversation it is.
You there! Drew! Were you in Gek's raft? We weren't expecting more of you. Where's Gek? Who are you?
And with luck like that, this is how you actually beat the game.
All right. No reason to get your tongue in a twist. Well, come on. Let's get you to shore. You'll need to report to the sergeant. The rest of you keep patrolling. I'm heading back with the drill.
Now that you can see this done, you might be wondering, was this game any fun? And this round was kind of fun to see if I could do it. However, it is not something I'd suggest to do. It's like, why did you play Baldur's Gate just to sneak through and beat it in 45 minutes? I'd rather get a couple hours of actual enjoyable gameplay. So, doing this, not really worth it in my opinion. Was it fun at the time? Absolutely. I actually recorded this all in silence as well, and then commented along the way, because I figured that would be better than me sitting here mostly in silence and then interrupting myself as I play.
The symbol of the absolute is clear, even in the dark. You need answers. What game are the mind flayers playing? Is there even a cure? What are they doing?
But with all that said, that is going to end this video. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I hope you learned something. If you did, if you just liked the video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends. But you all take care. And I will catch you next time.
Soon.